All right, ladies and gentlemen, this is Iman Mitchell coming at you with another great hangout, and I'm so humbled and honored to have this guest who I have seen since the beginning. I've seen him from afar, admired his work, seen him on various company hangouts, and now he's agreed to talk to the audience and just share his story with us. Mr. Gery Craig, one of the original founding 12 members. Are you with us? Can you hear me okay?
I can hear you loud and clear, Eamon. Great to be with you.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much for being on with us. We really, really appreciate it. As always, I'm just going to ask you a few questions, and we'll just have a conversation. Hopefully, help some people out here who are watching this hangout. But first off, just tell the audience a little bit about yourself, your background, and anything you'd like us to know about you.
Happy to do it. First of all, thank you for having me on, Eamon. It's likewise. I've seen you on the airwaves and in the social graph. Chatting up Solvay, and you've been a very positive source of influence in Solvay since the very beginning. So it's actually my honor and privilege to be with you. Thank you. Well, gosh, I'm in my late 50s, 57. When I was growing up as a little kid, I always thought that I was really old, but I sure don't feel old. I work out every day, and I try to stay in good shape, and in the process of getting in even better shape. My background since the early 80s is financial services. I became licensed as a stockbroker, evolved into institutional and private money management, was trained as an investment analyst. So kind of I did a lot of number crunching and as well as a lot of investment counseling and management. And I loved that work. It was fulfilling. It was educational. However, I've always been a people person, and so about 15 years into that career, I transitioned into the training side of the industry, and so I began traveling all throughout the country, teaching and training financial principles, investment strategies, did a lot of options and stock training, and really enjoyed that. Early in my career, in fact, very early in my career, I was invited to an evening of pizza with some friends. In fact, this was in 1980. Oh, wow. And at this pizza party, just a bunch of guys and maybe a few gals. I think it was a long time ago, obviously. Mm-hmm. Sitting down eating pizza, and all of a sudden, one of the guys stood up and pulled a whiteboard into the room and began drawing circles and talking about selling soap.
Okay.
And I came away from that very interesting evening feeling a little hoodwinked, but at the same time very interested and intrigued by the financial business model that I was introduced to. Although I had no interest in selling soap or representing a soap company, if you will, at the time, that's what I thought it was. Okay. I was very intrigued by the leverage of creating a network or a sales force of friends and family and associates, all basically presenting an opportunity and moving products. At the time, these it sounded like good products that save people money. Mm-hmm. And I loved that concept. And I loved the whole mathematics and leverage of frankly, network marketing. Then it was multi-level marketing is what it was called, or MLM. Mm-hmm. And so throughout my career, so now we kind of go through my financial career. During that time, I kept an eye on the industry. I kept watching, and being here in Utah, which is my home state, even though I grew up in Southern California, I moved to Utah in mid-'70s and graduated high school here. So being in Utah, it's kind of the mega center of the network marketing profession.
Yes, it is.
Many, many companies here. In fact, early in the 80s, a company kind of rose out of nowhere called Nu Skin. And, a lot of my friends were jumping into Nu Skin, but I was deep into my career and really, again, had no interest in selling makeup and skincare products. Okay. Although that's the number one product in this profession that companies are very successful at selling and moving. Bottom line is I kept my eye on the industry, and as Nu Skin really grew into massive success, and then many companies spawned from Nu Skin and also became very successful here in Utah. I absolutely knew that at some point in my future I would be very involved in this profession. And so, fast forward to the late 90s, I really jumped into the profession of network marketing, and cut my teeth with a great company, learned a lot. Was invited to another company where I was one of the founders of that company, and that experience turned into a very significant experience for me. Over a 5-year period, I enrolled almost 600 people, set up distribution in 40 countries around the world, traveled all over the world, ended up living in Istanbul, Turkey for 4 years, and having one of the greatest adventures and periods of time in my life. And so, yeah, here we are today. You know, I've probably got about 15 years experience of direct experience in the network marketing profession, and I absolutely love it. It's, for me, everything I've done in my life, in my career, has prepared me for this moment. I love working with people. I love making a difference in people's lives. Just by sharing a business model and a profession that really can make a difference in someone's financial affairs, which frankly translates into every other aspect of our lives. So that's kind of my history in a nutshell.
That is Istanbul, Turkey. That's the thing that sticks out in my mind for 4 years.
You know, I'll just say one thing about Istanbul and the country of Turkey. I haven't traveled all over the world, but I've been to many places in the world, and by far and away, Turkey and Istanbul is the most amazing place that I've ever experienced so far. The history, the culture, the food, the people, the experiences I had there was just stunning, and it's a place that I long to return to again and again, and I want to travel to many other places in the world, but Turkey has a very special place in my heart.
Awesome, awesome. I love that story, and thank you so much for sharing. So obviously you have plenty of experience with not only the industry, but you've seen a lot of different companies. And given your financial acumen, what was it, leading into our next question, what was it about Solvay that made you join? Or in a nutshell, why did you join Solvay out of all of these companies that exist right now?
Great question. The reason that I became a part of Solvay was 2 reasons. First of all, in spring of 2012, so it was actually about April, I was invited to meet Ryan Wirch. I had to sign a non-disclosure. But on a phone call in about 15 minutes, Ryan Wirch unveiled his vision for Solvay for me, a company that would make commerce less expensive and even profitable on a platform that we know as mobile technology, and then from that would be all kinds of offerings and services that would be a value and a savings for the member. And as I thought about that, and I related that to my experience in the network marketing profession, which up to that point was only in the product side of the industry. And although I am an advocate for the network marketing profession and for all great companies, and I love the model, the distribution model, the profession of network marketing when it's done right. But the product side of the industry, if a person is not making money, they tend to drop the product because it either doesn't fit their budget, or maybe it's not working, or they just can't afford it, is 99% of the case. And so there's a lot of churn and turnover. Yeah. I experienced that many times. It is regarded as the biggest issue and problem in the network marketing distribution model. So when Ryan unveiled his vision for me, it was like a light went on. I thought to myself, this is the perfect business model. Here we are in the United States alone, 300 plus million people, 320 million cell phones in use. So everybody has one. Everybody wants it. Everybody, if they don't have one, they want it, and they sure as heck need it and can't live without it. And Ryan's been talking about that as he's gone back to the original vision and really focused on that. And I thought, you know, it makes sense. And of course, I was invited shortly thereafter to be one of the founding 12 members. And that's really the second reason, because, you know, I immediately recognized and sensed something powerful and special here. And again, the bottom line for me is whether or not a person is making money, if you will, they're still saving money, and so it's really a perfect scenario as far as I'm concerned. Is Solivay perfect? You know, we've learned in 2.5 years it's not necessarily perfect. There's competition. There's mistakes that have been made. But what I love about where we are today is this is a company that is still focused on its original vision, and they admit mistakes, but more importantly, they see the lessons that have been learned, and they've made shifts, and now we're going forward. And we'll talk more about that in a moment, I'm sure. But for me, Solivay is the greatest business opportunity of my lifetime,
Wow.
no doubt.
Wow. That, and the fact that you would say that obviously lends credibility to the opportunity given your experience. So I have to ask you now, because a lot of people, they watch these hangouts and they always try to grasp nuggets from leaders and try to find strategies to implement in their own business. So in your opinion, Mr. Craig, what is I kind of make this a 2-for-1. What's the easiest thing about doing Solivay, and what's the hardest thing about doing Solivay? You can answer that. You can go hardest to easiest, or easiest to hardest, or in any way you see fit. But those two things, the hardest and easiest thing about building a Solivay business.
You know, the hardest and the easiest is really one and the same. And that is, you'll find that the way I approach the network marketing profession, and specifically Solivay, is I believe that the only way to build a successful and thriving Solivay business is to sponsor and enroll people. And so in order to do that consistently and successfully, it requires learning a simple set of skills, what I call money-making activities. And one of the most important money-making activities is learning how to invite people to take a look at Solivay, to take a look at the business opportunity. And so the hardest thing to do for me is to open my mouth and invite people to take a look at it. And you might ask yourself, well, gee, you spent all those years as a broker, you know, you called people, you were a cold calling crazy nutcase at times. I mean, you know, I had to do that. Didn't necessarily like it. You know, I was very successful previously with another company where I enrolled a ton of people. So obviously I talked to a lot of people. But you know what? Still is not the easiest thing in the world for me to do. And it's a combination of issues that, you know, are different for everyone, but in my case, it's a combination of just, I'm a little bit, honestly, I'm a little bit of a shy person. I mean, I am really. I think if we go back to our core, a lot of us tend to be introverts. I'm a little bit introverted. Hey, I'm a numbers guy. I mean, obviously, I have some of that in me. At the same time, I know I've learned how to be extroverted and learn how to engage and talk to people. So it's just kind of like a little bit of a roller coaster. And I know this is a long answer, but I want to be candid with you and the folks watching this, because what is difficult can become easy. And if it's fear or any kind of set of fears that's holding us back from talking to people, or fixed beliefs, well, one of the most important statements that I have used in my career, and it has made a huge difference, was a statement by Ralph Waldo Emerson, which is simply, do the thing you fear to do, and the death of that fear is certain. Mm. So the times in my life, like even in the very beginning of Solivay, when I felt fear and I felt, you know, trepidation of picking up the phone and inviting somebody to my business or to look at my business, the fear evaporated each time I picked up that phone or each time I made that invitation. And so it became easy. And that is probably the most important skill, one of the most important of the set of skills that I believe are critical to our success, is learning how to invite, which is basically talking to people, and quite frankly, talking to a lot of people if you really desire to have a massively successful business. Yeah. So, does that make sense?
Yes, it does. And I think a lot of people, they want to just talk to a few. I think sometimes we hear these stories of people who maybe enroll one or two superstars and then they can kind of ride off into the sunset. I have yet to really see that work out in the real world in terms of different companies that I've seen and leaders. I look at a lot of top performers and they never stopped in, like you say, enrolling and talking to people. It's a lot of the people that aren't in a bad way financially that are still continuing to outperform the general field because they're just, I don't know, I think their mindset is just different. But
Right. And let me add one more part of that equation in the mix. When I say talk to people, I don't mean by any means, and make sure you hear this, folks, I don't mean talking as in blabbering and telling the whole story of Solivay to somebody. It's not that at all. In fact, it's really, really, really simple. In fact, it doesn't require any selling on my part or your part. It doesn't require really any real explanation or convincing. Forget about all that. You let that just go away from your mind, because learning how to invite properly, learning how to invite somebody to take a look at your business, you're simply inviting them to look at some tools, some information tools, and you're letting those tools do the explanation and the sifting and the sorting or the convincing. You're not having to do that yourself. And so in doing that, you're demonstrating to your candidate really how easy this business can be. Don't make it hard for yourself. Don't try to take 15, 20 minutes and explain everything to somebody, because then you're showing that person what they don't want to do. Okay? And they're going to say, hey, man, I love you, but that's not for me. And you're gonna wonder, why don't they like Solivay? This is amazing. We're saving people money. We've saved people $95 million over the last 2.5 years. Why can't they see that?
And that is so true. I think a lot of people, they don't want to be the guy pulling out the whiteboard, at a pizza party drawing circles.
Amen.
So,
Amen.
I don't think anybody really wants to be that guy. So, if we move on now and discuss a little bit about, and you say something about talking to people, which kind of leads me to my next question as well, because it's interesting. Some people, they really desire, which I kind of shy away from, but you can promote it if you want, but a script, or they really want the foundation of what exactly to say. If I call someone, what should I say? Should I tailor it to a person? Should I say the same thing to everybody? So when you're talking to someone about, we'll say, inviting them to take a look, how do you phrase it? Do you set an appointment? Do you say, hey, let's sit down and grab lunch? Do you tailor it to that person? Or do you just say the same thing to everybody? What exactly do you say to people when you're sharing Solivay?
Great question. And there's a couple of different things that I do depending on the situation, the scenario, the place. Like if I'm standing in the locker room, because I'm at the gym every day, and I don't necessarily like to talk to naked men in the locker room, so I keep my conversations relatively short. I might, if it's about the cell service that we offer that offers a savings, if for most people, I'll say, hey, you got a cell phone, obviously. Who's your carrier? What kind of rates you're paying over there for your services? How much longer is left in your contract? Just general questions like that. And then I say, well, I'm with a company called Solivay, and we offer a tremendous savings. In fact, we have a revenue sharing model that allows a person to get their mobile services for free. And then now what I'm going to share with you is where I go into my invitation script. And this invitation script is money in the bank. It works every time. And it's simply this. I always have some kind of a tool with me, whether it's a business card. Sometimes it's just my phone, where I have the Solivay app on my phone. And my simple question is, hey, if I send you an invitation to take a look at a couple of short videos, will you take 15 minutes to take a look at these videos? Usually, the answer is, of course. Sometimes, they might ask, well, what's it about? But I'll just let them know that it's a very brief introduction to Solivay, which the only thing I'll ever say is, hey, Solivay is a social commerce company. And I'll say it's kind of like a Facebook and a T-Mobile combination. I'll go, yeah, okay. But I keep it very, very brief. Next, I ask, all right, when I sending you this invitation, when would be the first chance you'd have to take a look at it? Because I want to nail them down on a time. Usually they say, oh, tonight when I get home, or as soon as I get home this afternoon. I'll ask them about what time that is. Let's say they say 6 o'clock tonight. I say, great. How about if I give you a quick call about 6:30? Does that give you enough time? Yeah, sure, of course. I'll call them, and of course I get their number. I'll call them at 6:30. And by the way, that's extremely important that you always call when you say you will. Always follow up exactly when you say you will. You're demonstrating to that individual that their time matters, and you're a professional. On that follow-up call, I'm simply going to ask, hey, give me your thoughts on the videos. They'll give me some thoughts. Let's say that their reaction is positive. I'll say, excellent. I'd like to send you something a little bit more in depth about the company. If I send you another link, it's about 20 minutes long. It's actually a recorded social, or what we call a webinar. Would you mind taking a few minutes to take a look at that? Sure, of course. I said, great. When can you do that? Well, I can do it right now. I said, great, excellent. Now, if they say, and then of course I'll send them the link. I'll set up a follow-up time. I'm basically just inviting and setting a follow-up time, and I follow up. That might be either later that night or in the morning. Mm-hmm. Now, if they say to me, I haven't had a chance to look at it yet. On the first follow-up, I'll say, no problem. When would you have the next chance to take a look at it? And I simply set another appointment with them. If they say after watching the information, they say they're not interested, my response to that is no worries, no problems. Thank you for taking the time to watch the information. I am not about convincing or selling anybody. I am way done with that. That's a historical part of my career. I didn't like it then. I don't like it today. I don't like to be sold. I like to discover things. I like other people to discover. In fact, my ultimate objective is simply this. I want to find people who, when they hear this message, when they see it and listen to it, they get it. They want to be a part of it. I want them to be just like me. I'm looking for duplications of Gery Craig. Yeah. And that's as simple as it is. And I know my explanation of that script may be a little bit rambled, but it's because I do it conversationally. I don't really have a written script. Mm-hmm. But it's simply I'm inviting somebody to take a look at it. I'm asking if I send you this information. Some people use, in the past I used DVDs or CDs. If I give you this DVD, or if I give you this CD, or if I give you this book, will you take the time to take a look at it, investigate it on your own? And literally 99% of the time I get a positive response. Very rarely does someone say, no, I don't have time, or no, I'm not interested, because we've already developed a rapport. We already have a rapport at that point. Yeah. So again, bottom line, simple conversation, not selling, not convincing, establish a little rapport, and then a simple invitation to look at a tool, set a follow-up time, always follow up, repeat, do the same thing. Usually about the third or fourth step, what I do is I get them on a three-way call with one of my associates. Usually it's someone that traditionally would be an upline member or a sideline member, a team member, or a partner. And the value of a third-party three-way call is that, first of all, you edify that third-party member, and then that third-party member essentially is there to close the deal, invite them to join. And that's the sole purpose of a three-way call, is for the person you've brought them on with to invite them to go sign up. And so in any time, like Eamon, if you called me up one day and said, hey, I got a candidate that is hot to trot, I'd like to get him on a three-way call with you, you got 10 minutes, I say, great, let's set it up. My sole objective, after you introduce and edify and introduce me, is to connect with that individual, share them my why solo-based story, very brief, answer their questions, and close them. Get them right there on the spot. Get them in. And I tell you what, guys, I've had With that simple method, I've had incredible success in my career in the network marketing profession.
Incredible, incredible. And what I love about that is what I saw was a progression. I didn't hear you say that, as soon as I expose this person, I'm going to go ahead and sign them up right there in the gym or right after they watch the video. It's just a series of continuations that you're trying to get with that individual, really coming from, I've heard it described as a kind of a consultant. You're just seeing if you can help that person. Not necessarily try to sell them, but seeing if it's something that they can wrap their life around instead of you trying to really alienate them and introduce this foreign concept to them, giving them and putting in their hand or in their life something that could really benefit themselves and their families. And I love how you put that, and it's just so simple how you go from the introduction all the way through the close, and it's an easily duplicatable process. So I like that methodology. I really do like that.
Cool.
We have to ask this question. You may have already answered it, but just really quick, because I think you've already answered it in your previous answer. But a lot of people wonder, well, should I lead with the service or opportunity in terms of Solvay? When I talk to someone, could I talk to them about, hey, this is an opportunity that maybe this might be the vehicle that should set you free, could set you free financially, or saying, hey, here's a good mobile service, and then on the back end mention opportunity. Which do you struggle with that any, or because based on your answer, I think you're always asking those questions about their current provider and kind of going from there. But is there ever a time to lead more with one versus the other, or is it a consistent always leading with the service? What say you on that?
That's a very, very astute question, Eamon. And it's actually one that I've thought a lot about, especially in the Solvay world. And to be very, very candid with you, as you well know, there's been a powerful new business model and compensation structure unveiled to us that will be launching October 1, 2014. and quite frankly, in my opinion, although I've always loved Solvay passionately, because of the value proposition that we offer, we now have an incredible business model that we can share from a business opportunity perspective. So the question is, do we lead with the business model or do we lead with the service? Well, here's my answer to that. A successful, thriving Solvay business is going to consist of both customers and brand partners or business builders. Okay? We want both. So to be very open and candid with you, my commitments to my business this month is I'm bringing in 6 customers. But I'm also bringing in 12 new founding members for our Phase 2 launch that are going to be brand partners and business builders. So I'm bringing in both. I will teach to bring in both. Now, when we're out and about throughout our days and when we're connecting and communicating and inviting people to take a look at Solvay, I will be leading with both. The mobile services is a kind of a first sort of open the door line, if you will. Hey, where do you have your mobile services? What do you pay, if you don't mind me asking? Would you be open to saving money on your mobile services or even getting it for free? Excellent. Well, if I send you a link to a video, will you take a look at it, and it'll show you everything you want to know about what it is I'm talking about, or something like that. Now, granted, that's introducing the savings, but they're also going to be introduced in that process to the business model and the money-making opportunity, not only the money-saving, but the money-making opportunity. Now, in my conversation with somebody, let's say I'm talking to somebody who's in sales, and I might say to them, and this is another very powerful line, hey, are you open to a side project, something that could make you some money on the side? Well, I don't know anybody who isn't interested in making a little more money. Okay. Yeah. You know, I'm a baby boomer, and I'm represent many millions of people in the United States who are frustrated right now, looking at retirement within 10 years and thinking to themselves, holy heck, I'm not going to be able to retire at 65. It ain't happening. I don't have the resources, the money to even maintain my present lifestyle, let alone do the fun things I'd love to do in retirement. So I'm going to keep working another 5 or 10 years. Or they may not have a choice. They may have to retire. And they have no idea what to do. Well, we have the answer. We have, in my estimation, the most powerful answer for millions and millions of people. And that is to create residual income and literally create an asset that could be worth $1 million or $2 million in a matter of 5 years. So I am always looking for a way to introduce a side project, that's what I like to call it, or a part-time business. So now that we have a very powerful business model, I will be leading or connecting with people on the business model side of it a lot more often and earlier in conversation. But then, of course, my objective is not to tell them all about it. Mm-hmm. Okay, my objective is to invite them to a tool, let the tool do the explanation, and then I'll follow up. And the nice thing is Solvay is coming out with some incredible business building tools for us. Right now I know there's a 4-part video series that's being created by Stacy and James and some of the other top leaders that is going to be very, very powerful for us. So great tools coming. We've always had good tools. Mm-hmm. Great tools are coming. So
I love it. I love it. I can't wait. I can't wait. I'm going to be keeping an eye out for that video series.
Same here.
So when we talk about, and just a couple more questions then, and of course we'll bring it to a close here, but a lot of people, it takes a lot of people out of the game of really any business, but in particular, I guess you could say network marketing, is the rejection aspect, where you said sometimes you get that person who's not interested, and sometimes that really stops a lot of people in their tracks. They may have a prospect, maybe their cousins, a real estate agent, or their father-in-law is a successful businessman, or their best friend who they think just might join the business with them just because of the nature of their relationship. And for one reason or another, that person gets rejected or told no.
Right.
And that crushes some people. Definitely deflates their expectations. But how do you handle rejection? Do you even acknowledge it, or how do you get over it? And you might struggle with that.
Another great question, Eamon. Rejection is a real thing. Rejection hurts, especially when you're inviting somebody that you're really excited about, or maybe you know somebody that you just know that they're going to be amazing in this business, and you want them in your business, and they reject you, or they reject the opportunity. Yeah, it definitely hurts. Let's face it, we're all humans. We have feelings, and it's a real thing. What I've learned to do to deal with rejection is, first of all, I've come to the conclusion that it's never about me personally. Generally, I have a sense. I know certain people in my life that I probably shouldn't approach. So I'm not going to approach them because they would probably reject me just because they think they know me and they don't want to do business with me, and so I just am not going to invite them. The beautiful thing about this business, we can work with who we want.
Yes.
Now, in that process, there are people, because of timing in their life, because of whatever circumstances that exist in their situation, they're going to look at it and say, no, it's not for them. Or they may have fixed beliefs about the network marketing profession and don't want anything to do with it. And so, bottom line is, to me, it's just a matter of saying next. In fact, there's some phenomenally successful people who use the strategy of going for no. They actually set a goal to achieve 10 no's or rejections a day. Now, I've done that too, and I was never able to hit that goal. I never even came close because I always got yeses. And so, but I think it's a phenomenal approach, because what it did for me is it taught me that the no is not a bad thing, that it's getting me closer to the next yes. Let's face it, to be successful in again, I said this earlier, but to be successful in building a thriving Solvay distribution or base of members using the Solvay services, you want to have both customers and business builders. And in order to in order to find those people, you got to play the numbers game. It's a numbers game, meaning you may have to invite 10 people to take a look at your business to enroll 1 or 2 or 3. And you may invite 10 people and they may all say no, but on the next 10 you may get 5 or 6.
This is true.
You see, the tools do the job. All you and I need to do, Eamon, is be tour guides. Is invite people in the door, point them to the informational tools, guide them to each step of the information progression until they come to a natural conclusion of yes, Solvay is for me, or no, it's not for me. And either result I'm okay with, because again, I'm only looking for people who are like me, who want to succeed in this, who get it when they see it, they catch the vision, they're ready to lock arms with me and go to work. Yeah. And frankly, even some of those people, for whatever reason, may decide not to do it down the road. And again, it's okay. I don't want to control anybody or try to convince anybody at any stage of the process. Now, you asked another question within that question, and that is, some people, if I heard you right, some people, leave or quit. And my answer to that is, it's an issue of belief. Okay, there are 3 bridges of belief that are absolutely required to be successful in any kind of a network marketing distribution model, including and especially Solvay. Those 3 bridges of belief are, number 1, belief in the company itself. In other words, do you really believe in your heart of hearts, in your core, that Solvay is the answer, that Solvay is going to take you to your dreams, that Solvay is that horse or that Ferrari or whatever it is you want to call it that's going to take you to achieving the financial objectives and all the freedoms and joys that come with the lifestyle of a successful, thriving Solvay business. Crossing that bridge of belief is critically important. Crossing the bridge of belief of the profession itself, of the network marketing, distribution, and business model, and knowing its history, understanding it. You don't have to know everything, but having a basic understanding and a belief in the model itself is critically important. And the third bridge is a belief in myself, which for many people is the most difficult bridge to cross. We all have our struggles and our fixed beliefs and our issues and our fears. These are very real for each and every one of us. At the same time, there are ways to cross this bridge and the other 2 bridges, and when a person really crosses those bridges, firmly planted on the other side and on their way, I can tell you at that point nothing will stop you. And it is just a matter of learning the skills, applying them consistently over a long period of time, and you will have absolute success in all the areas that you desire to have relative to this business. So belief is an absolute critical factor, and so when I see people quitting or leaving, it always boils down to 1 or all 3 of those belief issues.
Okay, and that makes sense. That makes sense. Either losing a belief in the company, yourself, or the profession in general. I think sometimes people that are the strongest proponents of an idea can also be as strong as detractors should they choose to leave it. Some people being all in with an idea, for one reason or another, when they walk away, now they're tearing down the very thing that they believed in. So it's always interesting to see, but that's a whole nother hangout. So when it comes to, these are actually my last 2 questions. Number 1, a lot of people, when they watch these videos, because of course they're recorded and just go on, and you can access them at any time. My main concern is always the new people. It's been said that new people are the lifeblood of a business, constantly acquiring new builders or new customers, things of that nature. So what would you say, Mr. Craig, as a founding 12 member, a new person who's excited about Solvay, they've already, they're in the company. They're not looking at it, they've decided, and they enrolled in whatever capacity and decide that, this is where they want to plant their flag and really make some things happen, and we'll just keep it straight to the point, their finances. They want to make money. What would you say to that brand new person? Maybe they have no real experience with network marketing, or maybe a little, tried some other things and failed, but they feel like this is going to be it for them. what would you say to that new person?
You know, great question again. The most important thing I would say to that person is get connected with the leadership of the company, the field leaders, the executive leaders, and take the time to really study and learn everything about Solivay. So really get connected to Solivay, the services that we offer, and the weekly trainings and calls that we also deliver. Because in that process, again, you're going to cross the bridge of belief in the company. I would also say go to every event that you can possibly get to, whether it's a regional event, and shortly in the coming weeks, Solivay is going to unveil a very exciting and powerful event strategy that's going to include regional events. It's actually going to include local training, Super Saturday type events, regional events, and a national event. This is something that's very traditional in the network marketing profession. Companies understand the power and importance of events. Successful people in this business understand the critical importance and skill of promoting these events because they know that they are powerful bridge-building experiences. So for a new person, thinking back to my early days, the most important things I did was I just got entrenched in the company. I studied the industry. I got a hold of books written by very successful people in the industry. I studied constantly, and I went to all the events I could get to. And in that process, in addition to the next thing, which I'll tell you,
Mm-hmm.
I crossed those bridges of belief. I began having success, which only created more and more success. So again, get connected and cross those bridges of belief. Number two, learn the simple yet critically important skills of money-making activities that are, again, required to be successful. Too many people waste too much time on non-essential, non-money-making activities. And just to be very brief, I want to define what those money-making activities are. Okay. Number one, develop and maintain a dynamic candidate list. In other words, whether you're using your phone, a spreadsheet, or a notebook, keep a list. And when I say dynamic, that means it's ebbing and flowing. It's growing, it's shrinking. You're crossing people off who either are joining your business or they're saying, not for me, not right now. And you're adding people to the list as you're going about your life. You always want to have a list, some kind of a list. Some people use internet marketing strategies to add names to that list, if you will, those candidates. So you always want to have people to invite to your business. So that's the second skill, is learn how to invite to the tools, learn how to follow up, okay, and commit to following up, the skill of following up. And next is learn how to ask for the business. In other words, invite people to simply make the step of joining your business, enrolling. So there are a few other things like promoting for events, but the most important daily, consistent money-making activities are a candidate list, invite to tools, and follow up, and ask people to join you in the business.
That's it. That's it. I remember. I think it was. I don't know if you're familiar with Eric Worre of Network Marketing Pro. He. I think a lot of people sometimes they struggle with, after they do all of this stuff. So what do I say to, in other words, I think some people phrase it as asking for the money. Don't be afraid to ask for the money, and it's not necessarily they're not putting the money in your hand. They're joining the company. But a great question I saw that a quote unquote closing question is that you could ask after a person has seen all the information is, what would stop you from getting started today? And that's something that really it stuck out in my mind. It's something that I've used in the past and something that has been effective. And you'll get to their issues. Maybe it's not a good time financially, and sometimes they'll say nothing. So then that's when you start pulling up the website and start putting in some information to get the credit card number, and go ahead and get them signed up. But that's just one way. I know there's probably many others. But a great closing question that I like to ask you, once you've done all the necessary due diligence, you've done the three-way call, hey, look, what would stop them from getting started today? And see,
Right.
and it might be nothing. They might be ready. And sometimes
Absolutely.
they are. So don't be afraid to ask for the business. I love that. So my last question for you, Mr. Craig, and like I said, I really appreciate your time and you joining us to share your wisdom with us, is your approach to business. A lot of times people, and you said the Emerson quote about doing the thing that you fear and the death of that fear being certain, in terms of dealing with the things that might frighten us as we build a business, or even that's a good principle to apply to life. Fear paralyzes a lot of people, and he keeps them where they are. But when it comes to your approach in doing business, be it just interacting with people or principles that you abide by, or just really anything, your general approach, if you could sum it up in maybe one principle or one key phrase or maybe a quote or maybe just something that you've devised on your own, but what would that principle be in terms of doing business? If you could sum it all up in one key idea, what would you say it is?
You bet. I tell you what has worked for me, as I look back over my life, the times when I became crystal clear on what I intended to accomplish, and added to that clarity, I made absolute crystal clear commitments. And then as I set out on the journey, whether it was a short journey or a long journey, I persisted until I accomplished my commitment. There may have been times even in that process where I got sidetracked or I took a left turn or a right turn, but because of my original clarity and commitment, I found the answers and I got back on course and I completed my commitment. So for me, for example, I'll tell you my story with Solivay in the beginning. When I was invited in mid-May to be one of the founding 12, I was informed at the time that I had about 10 days to find my 12, each of whom had to commit by spending $700 on a founder's phone and buying a ticket to Seattle for the end of June, which they had to actually purchase the ticket before the end of May and spend $700 on the phone. I had 10 days to accomplish that. And what I did is I took a deep breath, several deep breaths, as a matter of fact.
Yeah.
I made a chart, and I created a very clear commitment and affirmation that the perfect 12 would arrive on time. And I went to work, and I employed all of the skills that I had learned in the previous years. And bottom line is, at the final hour of the last day, the last person made the commitment and made the financial commitment and did it. And those 12 have turned into 60,000 people in the last 2.5 years. And that's 60,000 of the roughly 400,000 people that have committed to Solivay.
Wow.
So, guys, I'm doing that again. In fact, yesterday, I made a chart. And on that chart, there are 3 things that I will accomplish in the month of September. Number 1, I will enroll 6 people so that I can get that kit for free. I've already, I'm as a top performer in the company, whatever, I'm grandfathered. I don't have to spend the money or do the 6, but I'm going to do it to be an example. Why? Because I want people to do the same thing when they join the business. I'm going to set the standard for the kind of team that I want to have. So whatever I do, others are going to do. The second thing I am doing is I am going into my organization and identifying 12 highly committed power leaders as we launch this second phase. That's kind of the foundation that I have from my existing team. And I'm giving them some very strict criteria that they must commit to. And the third thing I'm doing is I'm finding a new set of 12, phase 2 founding 12 members. And together with my existing team, we are going to lock arms and do what we've done in the first phase by multiples. And the only thing I'm going to do is exactly what I have a burning desire. I'm crystal clear on what that is. I've made the commitments. I've posted it so that I see it every day. And that is my entire focus as we go forward throughout the next 30 days. And then beyond that, we'll see what comes next. But I know it'll be a lot of teaching and training and supporting all the members in Solivay, members like you, Eamon, and your team. We are one big family, and I know that all the leaders in this company, including yourself, are committed to serving and working with everybody in Solivay to make this work. And so does that answer that question?
It does.
Okay, good.
I love that because and I think the main thing that you said was doing it again, finding that second set of founding 12 for this next phase. The first phase was good. A lot of people made a lot of money. I think that's going to pale in comparison to what's coming down the pike with the Mercedes-Benz program, an enhanced compensation plan, new offerings that Solvay is going to be rolling out, new tools to help us build a business. So I'm loving it. I'm waiting with bated breath. I think, at least in my estimation, the people who really go to work between October 1st and December 31st, their 2015 is going to be phenomenal. That last fourth quarter is going to be key for a lot of people.
Those are very strong prophetic words, indeed.
Okay. I'll take that for what it's worth. Okay, well, Mr. Craig, we definitely want to thank you for your time. Those were all the questions that I really had for you. And in closing, are there any parting words of wisdom or anything maybe that I didn't ask you just real quick that you want to share with the folks watching that may be of value to them, or just anything that you'd like to share as we end this hangout?
The only thing I'm going to say is the very best is yet to come with Solivay. I think what we've accomplished by all standards in business, in the technology world, in the mobile services world, we have been a wild success. We've learned some incredibly valuable lessons. We have an executive team that is 100% committed to making Solivay a multiple billion-dollar company, which translates into tremendous financial reward for everyone like us who's engaged and committed for the long haul, and who's willing to work now and continue to work hard as we grow. If you knew what I know about what's coming, you would get on your knees immediately and thank the Lord, because it is absolutely amazing, not only what we have, but what is coming. And all I can say is employ the things that we've talked about today, make them a part of your life, part of your makeup, and apply them, and you will be very successful with Solivay as you go forward.
Wow. I think that's it. So, folks, in closing, I would just like to say as well that a lot of people, what I do and what I tend to have done is watch the people who are on the same path as me and have the same mission as me. I don't have the knowledge that they do, but I understand there's a reason why a lot of people stick and stay with certain companies. They're basing their decisions on what they know. So because of what they know, they see value there. They don't run and hide at the first sign of trouble. And, no judgment on those that do or make any type of decisions to perhaps move on and do other things. That's fine. But there's always a reason. Look for those people that you identify with that are headed in the same direction as you. Connect with them, and like you said, one of those key things is locking arms with leaders in whatever company that you're in. That has been so valuable. I know it's been valuable to you, Mr. Craig. It's been valuable to myself, a lot of other people that are like there. So I just want to thank you for your leadership throughout these past couple of years. Looking forward for many more years to come. And I just want to thank you for your time as well. So for the folks watching, we definitely want to thank you for your time and watching. We hope you got some value out of it. And we're going to go ahead and bid everyone adieu. Thanks so much for watching. Take care.